This is Pastor Dave, just giving a brief recap of my message this last Sunday on Genesis chapter 9 on the Tower of Babel. And in my message, I talked about how Scripture is clear about establishing a paradox between unity and diversity within the Christian narrative. Unity in that we have more in common with each other than distinct. Unity in the sense that we have a shared biological lineage through Noah, as well as a shared spiritual lineage through Abraham, as we will soon find out in the upcoming weeks as we continue on in Genesis. And on the other hand, diversity in the sense that God has created humans to spread out across all the corners of the earth so that we can be stewards of His creation across all the different contexts throughout all of His creation. One of the main observations that I made from the passage on Sunday was this, that even though humanity ended up being dispersed over all the earth, this facet of human sinful nature and rebellion from the Tower of Babel, it persists today, though now in different form. And I talked about how this particular sin is twofold. One, how a desire to stay together for the wrong reasons still persists even among church communities today. And also second, how many people will tend to group up together also in order for the sole purpose of making a name for themselves. And what I want to do just in this brief moment with you all is, in addition to inviting you to reflect on this as it might apply to what is currently happening in the broader context of our country, I'd love also for us to reflect a little bit, and I didn't get to do this much on Sunday, but to invite us to reflect on how this might also be present and reign true in our church context as well. I know that part of the experiment of our church is that by design we don't have a dominant ethnic or cultural group within our church, and that's by design. And at the same time, that can be a unique challenge because when people walk into our church, it's not like they look around them, look to the left and look to the right and just see people just like them. It's kind of the opposite. It's almost like there's this feeling of no matter who you are and what background you have, when you walk into the room, it's kind of a mixture of everything. And what I want to do is just give you all an encouragement about that, about this, how on one hand it might present unique challenges because we all come from different backgrounds and it opens up possibilities for us to misunderstand each other. It may not feel as instantaneously or immediately safe for us. And yet I want to encourage you and leave you with this one tidbit, which is that in my the research that I do at work as a professor, I do a lot of research on spiritual formation, on spiritual maturity, and spiritual development. And the research actually suggests that cultivating an intercultural disposition, a greater level of comfort and interest in interacting with other people from different backgrounds and different cultures, and actually developing intimacy with people from different cultures, that's actually a robust predictor. It's actually one of the most important building blocks of spiritual maturity. And ultimately, the reason behind this is because God transcends all human cultures. Right? So He doesn't belong to just one culture. He's not American, He's not Chinese, He's not Mexican, He's not British. God transcends culture, and because of that, when we relate to God, that is ultimately a cross-cultural relationship. That our relationship with God is a cross-cultural, intercultural relationship. So the more we get to interact and practice what it's like to navigate these differences from human to human with the people in front of us, the more that will likely translate into our relationship with God, where we're able to actually see God for who He is. And even though He's close with us, we don't project we don't shape God out of our own cultural image. And what I love to remind everyone about when I speak on my research is the simple and yet profound fact that God is not American. right? And because of that, we have to recognize that God doesn't think like us. He doesn't talk like us. He doesn't have exactly the same values as us within our cultural context. So I just want to encourage you that with this final point, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday.